Hey everyone, it's Sean and Julie from Chicory's Travels, and we want to share with you in this video top 5 lessons learned and our biggest regret after 5 years of RV travel.
I can't believe it's been that long.
So we'll cover our 5 tips or things we've learned along the way, and our biggest regret, which we both agree on by far is our biggest regret. So the first lesson is to find your travel style.
Yeah, and what we mean by that really is do you. Find out what works best for you and don't worry about anyone else. And we're talking about things like how far do you want to drive in a day, or how long do you want to stay in one location, and even what kind of places you like to stay at. So we'll give you an example for us. We were trying to be like everyone else and hitting like a million different places in a month and only staying a place maybe a week at the most, and we were exhausted.
Yeah, we definitely did not like that travel style.
So what we had always heard from people when we were researching this lifestyle is this 3-3-3 rule, like don't travel more than 3 hours, stop by 3 o'clock, and stay at least 3 days. But the problem is that would take us a long time to ever get anywhere.
Yeah.
So we started traveling a lot farther in one day, and we actually prefer that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't mind driving, 12, 15 hours to get to where our location is just so we can be there, and then we stay for like a month or so.
And he doesn't mean 12 and 15 hours in one day. We'll usually split that into 2 days. But we typically have like 8 to 10 hour driving days.
Yeah, and that's what works for us. And we found that we don't like the quick staying somewhere a week. We'd rather stay somewhere a month and get to know the area. And of course, we're still working, so that gives us plenty of time for sightseeing and getting out on the town, so to speak.
And then the last part of that, finding your travel style, is finding what types of places you like to stay at. In our first 4 years, we were pretty much exclusively campgrounds. And over the last year, we have started to dabble in a little boondocking. And we have found that we enjoy boondocking.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to be a full-time boondocker. And so the moral of that story is to find what works best for you, and don't let anyone tell you that there's a right or wrong way to do it. I mean, sometimes we'll share like this amazing RV resort that we love on social media, and everyone's a critic on social media, right? And people will say, oh, that's a waste of money. You should boondock out in the middle of nowhere and enjoy these amazing views. And we like that sometimes, but it's just not us for the majority of the time. Also, like Sean said, we're working, and I'm sorry, but we've been places where people have put reviews that you get pretty good internet or cell signal so that you can get internet, and no. We have to be in urban areas to make it work for us. But you do you. That's the lesson.
And lesson number 2 is, I think everybody knows this that's been RVing more than a couple of weeks. RVs require a lot of upkeep, so you constantly got to do maintenance. And that's part of the lifestyle. So we're not saying that it's bad or that it's good. We're just saying it's something that you got to do. And so if you're not into doing that, you'll spend a lot of money at repair facilities. So it's good to be handy, and it's good to take on the challenge of learning how to do all the maintenance yourselves and enjoying that part of RVing.
And just to give you a few examples of what we mean, just in the last year, actually just in the last week, we got all new truck tires. We got them, 3 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're putting on a lot of miles on your RV or your tow vehicle, you're going to need tires more often than you would think. In the last year, we had to get 2 new RV tires.
Yep.
What else?
Well, right now we have a broken refrigerator, and we have our new Arctic Fox 275L, and the refrigerator was new when it was put in, and the cooling unit went out on it, and so we lost our groceries, and I tried to repair it. I changed the circuit boards, I I did everything the forum said to do, and sadly, it's the cooling unit, and I couldn't get the cooling unit under warranty. It had to go through an RV repair facility, so now we're waiting on that process to get that done. So that was one big thing. And then when we got our new RV, we took out all of our lithium batteries from our old RV and our inverter, and we did all the solar and everything on this RV, which was quite a bit of maintenance. We've installed new outlets for USB and 12-volt plugs, so a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, and if you're not handy or don't want to learn how to do it on your own, you're going to have to look, obviously, for someone else to do it. And that leaves you a couple options. One, you can take it to a repair place and leave it. I don't think we've ever had a good experience with that, have we?
No.
Because every time you take it and leave it, even if you tell them that you live in it, they always take longer than they say. Yeah. Every RV, even the same make and model, has different components in it, is one thing we learned. And so they would wait until you get there to even order the parts. Even if you have an appointment, like we did one time, we had an appointment, we sent them the part numbers, and still, they waited till we showed up to even order the parts. They order them through the manufacturer of the RV, but then the manufacturer of the RV has to order them from the component manufacturer. So it can be a pretty lengthy process. So what we do now, like with the refrigerator that Sean can't fix, is we're having a mobile repairman. And so even though it's covered under warranty, the mobile visit is not. So you just got to budget a little extra. This one particular place, it's $100 out of pocket that we'll have to pay for the luxury of getting to stay in our own RV at the campground while we're waiting for the part to be ordered and while we're waiting for the repair.
And the funny thing is, this particular shop that we're going through is not really a mobile repair shop. But if you talk nice to people and treat them well, they might be nice to you and come out and come to you instead of bringing your RV to them. When we told the people that manage the campground here that this person was going to be coming out, they said, wow, they never come out to fix RVs. They always make you go to them. But treat people like you want to be treated, and that will certainly go a long way when it comes to maintenance on your RV. And one last thing on the maintenance is, don't be mad when something breaks. I mean, it's a fact of life. It's part of the RV journey. So just take it in stride and do what you can to fix it.
And there's 3 things that can help you with that. Get the extended warranty. Even if you're buying used, you can get an extended warranty. Have roadside assistance. We've used that as well.
Yeah.
And have an emergency fund. You're going to need it. A maintenance fund. We have a maintenance fund. If we don't have any items that need fixing in a month, we put a certain amount in there, and we keep building it up until something happens like now that we need it for. We got the new tires and out of pocket on the mobile repair tech. And then next month, hopefully, we'll be able to build that maintenance fund back up. And those 3 things kind of help take some of that pressure off.
And one last thing, I promise this is the last thing.
Maintenance is big.
On maintenance is, don't trust what people write about things like roadside assistance. Because, for an example, we were just traveling on Labor Day a few weeks ago. We were in Texas, and we were going through a small town. And I actually got a flat tire. My tire pressure monitor let us know right away that it was going flat. And we were able to pull over in a rest area. And we called Good Sam Roadside Assistance. And you always see bad things on the forums about about Good Sam not showing up or taking damaging
12 hours.
Yeah, or causing damage to your vehicle. We called them. Like I said, it was a Labor Day holiday. They were there within 30 minutes and fixed our flat for us, and we were on our way. And so if I would have just trusted what was on social media, I would have never purchased the Good Sam Roadside Assistance. But in this case, it turned out to be a good thing, and it was a really positive experience. So before you take someone's word for it. Maybe experience it yourself, try it yourself, and you may be surprised. You know, there's good and bad in everything, and one bad experience for someone shouldn't stop you from trying it yourself.
Good point. So the next lesson is to be flexible. I think actually we should have led with that, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, that really is so important because life happens, things happen. When you're in an RV, life happens just like if you're in a traditional home. And so you just have to kind of roll with the punches. I'm a planner, and we're in September right now, and we already have reservations booked through next April. That's how much of a planner I am. But I only make reservations at places that don't charge me any more than $15 to cancel that reservation or make a change. And the reason why I do that is because things happen, and we have had to make changes numerous times. And even though it takes me a little more work to go back and make new reservations, at least I know it's not really going to be a financial burden. One example was a couple years ago, we were on our way to Florida Keys, and a hurricane came along, and we had to evacuate all the way from southern Florida. We tried to stop in Georgia, and it was going to be bad there too, so we ended up in Tennessee. That it cost us a lot more money, like in gas, but it also totally changed all of our reservations.
And then just recently, we were, like Julie said in the beginning, we were trying to hit all these places over the summer, and we kind of got burned out about halfway through with all the travel. So we went and redid all those plans, and those reservations were all changed so we could get back to our comfortable travel style. So it's easy to change if you plan ahead, and if you're okay with flexibility, it really works out in this lifestyle. Lesson number 4 for us is you don't need as much room as you think.
Yeah, so we first started RVing right when we became empty nesters. So we we raised 3 sons, and we had a 4-bedroom house with a basement and a formal living room, and all that. So when we were looking at RVs, we ended up getting a 44-foot toy hauler, and it seemed small to us, believe it or not. It seemed really small, like, whoa, how am I going to live in this tiny space? But after just a couple years of that, we realized we did not need even that much space.
Yeah. And if you go super big, it's really a pain in the ass to get into some RV parks, particularly national parks and some state parks. And a lot of the RV parks out west, they're not really built for those big rigs. So if you can fit into something smaller and you're comfortable, then try it out, We really enjoy, we're now in a 29-foot something Arctic Fox, and we love it. It's a lot smaller. Lots of people nowadays are downsizing to smaller RVs, and I haven't heard many complaints that it's too small. Most people are happy in them. So you don't need as much room as you think.
And I would also say that it's easier to start small and go larger than the other way around, just because of price, number one. I mean, I would say even when you're first starting out, maybe even try to get as used as you can think you can live with, and then as small as you can think you can live with. And then that way it's easier to upgrade. For us, we went with this massive, large RV. We bought it new. So 2 years in, we sold our toy. We knew we didn't want that much space, but it was just going to cost us too much money in depreciation for us to be willing to downsize at that point. So we lived with it for almost 3 more years while we aggressively worked to pay it off so that then we could downsize into a different RV.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But yeah, definitely you may think you need a lot of space, but when you're traveling all the time and spending a lot of time outside instead of in department stores and Walmart, you don't need as much space as you think. The last lesson we've learned is that it doesn't have to be forever. We all go through phases in life, and we just happen to be right now in the RV travel phase. but we know that that's not going to last for the rest of our lives. So go into it with a mindset that it doesn't have to be a forever decision.
Yeah, we always say that we don't make forever decisions. We make for now decisions. We make decisions based on what's happening in our life at the time. And that's kind of how we've done things pretty much for the last 5 years. Even our family knows, like they weren't even surprised when we told them we were moving into an RV, even though we didn't know anyone else who had done that. It didn't seem totally radical to them because they know that we were always trying new things.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, oh yeah, they're just trying something new. And we kind of went into it that way. And I think it's helped us enjoy it more because it hasn't been like this forever thing. Like it has to, you feel like locked into it or something. It's just been like, we'll do this as long as we feel like doing this. And that kind of makes it more enjoyable for us anyway.
Yeah, we never really, I don't think, expected it to be 5 years.
No, I totally didn't expect it to be 5 years.
This is almost the longest we've ever lived in something for that long.
In our last RV, because Sean told you, we've only had this RV for 6 months. So we had the other one for 4.5 years. That actually was the home that we lived in the longest because we were in the military. And so we had always moved every 3 years. So that 4.5 years, that home, that RV, that was the longest home, the longest time we had ever lived in a single home.
Yep. So now for the biggest regret, and we've kind of hinted about it all through these 5 lessons, and really it was not starting out this RV journey debt-free.
We were really so excited to get into the RV that we just went out and financed one. And it wasn't only the RV, it was really kind of our mindset about money and debt at the time. We were kind of in this kind of typical, you buy a car, you finance it. You buy a house, you finance it. You buy an RV, you finance it. And it wasn't until, I think, 3 years into our journey, into our full-time RV journey, that we read a book called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. And it completely changed our worldview, didn't it?
Yeah, and it was really tough.
Well, it was. It was a big eye-opening because we realized that, we owed a lot of money, not even just the RV. We had other consumer debt. And we really had to change. We decided that we wanted to be debt-free. I mean, we thought of our income and how much money we made. And then we thought, what if all that income went to us?
Yeah. Instead
of the bank or, the whoever holds the note on your different things. And we thought, what if that money went to us? Wow. That could be life-changing. And so we made a budget and adhered to Dave Ramsey's baby steps, he calls them. But it was hard sometimes.
Yeah. But we knew that, like we said, it's not a forever decision living in this RV. So, and sometimes things break in the RV, and, sometimes you got to be flexible and plans change that may cost you money. So having no debt allows us to be a little more comfortable in those decisions. And we know now that if we did have to leave the RV tomorrow, we could at least afford to live somewhere and not have to worry about it. So if we would have went into the RV journey debt-free, it would have been a lot more fun in the beginning, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps with all the other lessons that we talked about. It just gives you a little more financial security, and it makes, like he said, it takes some of the stress off of it. And then also it gives you the ability to make changes. Like when we decided that we didn't want that other RV, that larger RV anymore, we wanted to downsize, we had already made the commitment to be debt-free. So there was no way that we could get rid of that RV and get into a new one because we still owed on the other one. So we just had to keep at it and stick with that RV, even though we knew we didn't want it anymore. We for 2 years from that point, we stuck with it aggressively paid it off. And then when we finally were able to be debt free, we saved up enough money to get this new RV. So that was kind of a little bit of a sacrifice, waiting the amount of time, but I feel so glad we did it.
Yeah, and we're not saying by any means that it was this casual thing to become debt free. No. We really sacrificed and suffered and we worked a lot of hours to be able to pay everything off and start building up a savings. So,
and I would say that we sacrificed but not suffered, but he's probably saying suffer because he had to hear me complaining. Some days I would want to revert to my old ways and, just buy something on credit. And I'd be like, darn that Dave Ramsey, he's ruined my life. So Sean was probably suffering over some of my whining, but really most of the time it was really just more of prioritization, and really saying, is this really that important to me? Whatever it was that I wanted to spend money on, is this really so important that it's worth me not meeting my goals because of it? And if we could just stick with that path for 2 years, we knew it could really change our lives. And so we did. And luckily, because we were both committed to it, like he said, we agreed. We were able to encourage each other's when we had those moments where we wanted to get off of the wagon.
So even if you're currently RVing now and have debt, it's worth taking the step to get out of debt. Like Julie said, we didn't do it for the first 2.5 years, I think. Mm-hmm. And then we started. And once you get, the hardest part is getting started. And once you get started, it's pretty easy to do. And it's just, sometimes it seems like a very long road. But if you stick to it, it comes out in the end. And we definitely feel much better about RVing and being able to enjoy the time we have on the road without having to worry about credit and all the bills that we had before. So it's definitely our biggest regret, and we definitely encourage others to take that step. And whether you're thinking about RVing, or you are RVing, or you're not even thinking about RVing, you're just watching this video because we're so good looking, it's definitely the right step to take and get out of debt, and it makes your life so much better.
So we hope that these lessons that we learned along the way can help you a little bit in your RV journey. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to ask them, whether it's here in the YouTube comments, or you can go over to our website, chickeriestravels.com. There's a little contact me icon up in the top, and it'll send us an email. We answer every single one of those.
And also, if you want to learn more about RVing, check out my podcast, which is Beyond the Wheel Podcast. And you can get it on any of the major podcast platforms, or you can go to the website, beyondthewheelpodcast.com. And me and my buddy Kenny from Moving Forward Adventures host that podcast. And we have some really good guests on there. And it's all dealing with RV business. So until we see you on the road, safe travels.